Everybody, I've got a Rara system in me. That is how you develop spirituality, infinite love and compassion. Tera avidyatimira sadhu dagdhan nirvikalpan. Through this, all these timiras, this kind of false vision we have, timira drishti, we abolish all it. This ignorance, this delusion, we destroy. Brahmagritya nivasita sukham. He lives peacefully, absolutely relaxed, as the infinite Brahman, one with all. I did not dress up when a visitor comes. I am his friend. When you are at home, the wife, the husband, the children, oh, a child is coming to see me, let me get dressed up. We don't say so, because we are one there. But a visitor has come, stranger, let me dress up. We say like that. Here, that Sarvatma Bhava is there. So you are always free, always natural, from any people, always free. That is the state of mind, high development of spirituality, universality of sympathy, universality of vision, coming from universality of being. That is called Sarvatma Bhavam. Great leaders of this nature are the great saviors of the world. Leaders who will exploit all of you just to make his own power. But you find very often in politics, that leadership is very, very poor. This is a real leadership of men and women. Gandhiji had this quality. He will take everybody, squeeze every one of them for their own good, not for making himself fatter and fatter. That's the greatness of true leadership that is expressed here. Sarvatma Bhavam. Sri Krishna had that Sarvatma Bhavam. He knew he was one with all. He could enhance the life of all. That is why he dominates Indian culture. Every section in India is fascinated by Krishna. Our children, women, politicians, intellectuals, saints, all are attracted by that single personality, namely Sri Krishna. Then, 362 says, Nirantarabhyasavashataditham pakvam mano brahmani diyateyara tada samadhi savikalpa varchitaha sato advayanandarasanu bhavaka. By this constant practice of spiritual life, as elucidated in these various verses, nirantara, constantly, abhyasavashat, constant practice. What happens to you? Pakvam mano, mind becomes pakwa, ripe. Pakvam mano. What happens then? Brahmani liyate yada. It just merges, dissolves in Brahman. This mind gets dissolved in Brahman. Later on in one example he says, the hailstorm fell on the sea. So many beautiful round ice pieces hailstorm brought down. For a second, they kept their identity in the ocean. Within a short time, they got melted away into the ocean. So also this mind falls into the ocean of Brahman, keeps its identity for a little while, then becomes melted into that infinite Brahman. The mind was Brahman, taken out of Brahman, retained identity for some time, it is going back once again. Pakvam mano, Brahmani liyate yada, when it just dissolves in that Brahman, tada, then samadhi, that is called samadhi. The mind has got dissolved in Brahman. That's called samadhi. What kind of samadhi? Savikalpa vachitaha, without any vikalpa, without any modification, completely transcendental samadhi, nirvikalpa samadhi. That is the state man attains. Sato, by himself, advayanandarasānubhāvakaha. This samadhi gives you that infinite bliss of non-dual experience. Advayananda rasasvabhavaha. That is how Shankara describes that final state of man realizing his universal dimension. The particular realizing the universal dimension. How could he do so? Because he is truly universal. Only he doesn't know it. If the particular separate has been your real nature, you can never overcome it. What is your real nature remains your real nature. A fire is hot. That is his nature. It cannot become cold. Water is cold. It cannot become hot unless fire is added to it. But in the case of man, if I am a bound creature, I must always remain a bound creature. A thing cannot give up its own nature. Shankaracharya says that, Swabhavam na jahati saha. No thing in this world can give up its nature. But in this case, if you realize Brahman, what does it show? That was your nature. You didn't know the truth. Now you realize, yes, I have discovered my true form. Till now, I was deluded into thinking I am this and that. It is in the delusion we do all the evil, all crime, all kind of delinquency. All this come from a deluded state. In a clear mind, we will never do it. Therefore, he says, this is the truth of man. This tadanandara swarupaha. This thing has melted into the Brahman itself. Now in this, there are 3 steps. And Vedanta always puts the greatest emphasis on the 3rd step, namely Shruti, then Manana, Nididhyasa. 3. You hear about truth, then you think about it, then you meditate deeply on it. These are the 3. Shruti, that means Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. These are the 3. The second one is always better than the first. 3rd is better than the second. Apart from the 3, there is the 4th item, namely Anubhava. You experience the truth. Nothing can compare with this Anubhava. What is Shruti compared to Anubhava? What is Manana compared to Anubhava? What is Nididhyasa compared to Anubhava? Anubhava is everything. So he says, Shruti 364. Shruti Shatagunam Vidya Mananam. 100 times superior to Shruti, hearing is Mananam, thinking. When I speak to students, I say, every study that you make, 1 unit, you must have 10 units of thinking added to it. Then you get the best out of that study. 10 units of thinking to 1 unit of learning. Then comes Nididhyasana, deep meditation on the subject. What is that? Mananadavi. Nididhyasam Lakshagunam. Manana is very ordinary. 1 lakh manana is 1 Nididhyasa. The energy of that Nididhyasa. That means you have gone deep into the subject. You are able to understand the subtlety of the subject from within. Manana is still from the outside. Nididhyasa is deep. Then, what is finally? Anantam Nirvikalpakam. This Nirvikalpa experience is infinite in dimension. That is 100, this is 1 lakh, this is infinite, no comparison. The experience is tremendous. In the early shlokas you saw, full moon is rising on the eastern sky. You are sitting in the room. Somebody tells you, come and see, enjoy this beautiful moon. You are satisfied, taking a picture of a moon and enjoying it there. What is the picture compared to the real moon here? Get out and see for yourself. That is the shloka you read, the beginning of this book. Kastam rasananda rasanubhuti usrijya shunyeshwara meta buddhya vidwan. Who is that man, learned, who will give up reality and enjoy only unrealities, nothingness, emptiness? Will you ever do it? Chandre mahahladini deepyamane chitrendu mahalokayitam kaichhet. When the full moon is rising in the eastern sky, glory, beauty, everything is there. He says, I will enjoy a picture of a moon. What a fool you must be. Come and see this real thing. That is experience. This is second rate. That is first rate. The difference between hearing, merely reading, and experiencing is tremendous. A tremendous gulf is there. That was borne in upon me from one experience. 1940. War was preparing all over the world. The German war had started already in Europe in 1939. Then I said, modern war, so many new armaments have come, let me study something about it. At that time a book was published, Modern Armaments. I purchased that book. I made a thorough study. In those days, aeroplanes were coming into use in the war, dive bombing is there, then parachute jumping is there, so many things are there. Various armaments are manufactured. That book gave us a clear description. Modern Armaments. I read it. Then I told myself, now I know all about modern war, I said. Then a year later, 41, December 23rd, the first bombing of Rangoon took place from Japan. 7 bombs fell in our own hospital. Everywhere fire. So many people died. I also looked up from the staircase and the top of the building. What's going on? The cockfight in the air, all this parachute jumping, all this. Then I asked myself, You write so much about war. You are now experiencing war. What is the connection between the two? I found no connection. This is nothing compared to that. This experience is terrible. What is all this reading? Shankara is saying is this is, you read about religion, read about Brahman, read about this, read about that. But one little experience, everything becomes nothing compared to that little experience. Nididhyasam, nirvikalpam, anabdam. Infinite is the energy of nirvikalpa experience. Therefore he refers to that particular experience, nirvikalpa samadhi. Then comes a wonderful teaching for all of us in India. Yoga, that is verse 367. Yogasya prathamam dwaram vang nirodho aparigraha nirishacha nirihacha nityam ekanta shilata. That is a shloka here. The first doorway to yoga is control of speech. Speak less, think more. It's a lesson meant for all of us in India. We are the most talkative nation in the world. Everywhere talking. Whether it is market or temple or the kacheri, everywhere we are talking all the time. That is our characteristic as a people. It has to change completely. By too much talking, the mind gets disturbed. Concentration suffers. Cheapness comes to thinking. By less talking, we become deeper people. That is the one lesson Shankara wants to drive it home. Yogasya prathamam dwaram. The very first doorway. Before you sit in meditation and prayer, before you read religious books, learn to control your tongue. Don't lash it out here and there. Even from practical point of view, this tongue of India has been the greatest enemy of human happiness, family welfare. One lash of the tongue, you can break a whole family. And we have always lashed our tongue to destroy peace in families. Now the time has come. Control this tongue. Whenever it utters a word of blessing, a word of good to the people. That is yoga. Begin with the tongue control, speech control as we call it. Speak when there is something worthwhile to speak. Otherwise keep quiet, keep silent. Manu has said, the Manusmriti, Satyaputam vadet vachyam manaputam samacharet. After speech, purified by truth. Satyaputam vadet vachyam. Satya means truth. Puta means purification. Vadet means speak. Vachyam means whatever is to be spoken. Before you utter the speech, wash it in truth. Purify it in truth. That's the first utterance. Out of which science comes. Science cannot come unless our speech is purified by truth, because we are in search of truth, not some fancy. So first utterance, Satyaputam Padet Vachyam. Then Manaputam Samacharit. Whatever actions you do, whatever behavior you express, let it be purified by thought. Thoughtful behavior, thoughtful dealing with other people. There will be no need for regret afterwards. So Manaputam, purify it by thinking and thought. Then behave. Then react to external situation. That's a beautiful idea. Satyaputam Vadet Vachyam Manaputam Samacharet. These are all so much of wisdom compressed in a little saying. Swami Brahmananda, one of the important disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, he used to tell our Swamis and household devotees, when you write a letter to somebody, that man has written something which excited you, made you angry, I shall give a tit for tat. I write a strong letter. You write a letter. Then he said, keep it under the pillow for 3 days. Then you post it. You will bring it down cooler and cooler by that time. Don't write it straight away and post. 3 days you keep it. You will see things in perspective by that time. At that time, you have done wrong and you have to suffer later on consequences. Regrets will come to you. Don't do it. These are all beautiful advice to bring peace to society, to family, and to the individual concerned. So, Yogasya Prathamam Dwaram Vang Nirodho. When this country will learn this first lesson, we shall speak less, feel more, work more. What energy will come for transforming the human situation. So much of talking. Secretariats you go, constantly talking. Nobody works, only talking. Factories you go, talking. In no country workers will talk during working. This is the time to work. Don't disturb me. That's their attitude. This is the time you come, let us have a little gossip. We want to gossip all the time. The most gossiping nation. Men do plenty, women do a little more. That's all we have done all this time. Now the time has come to listen to this. We must train our mind. Why do you start training the mind? Speech. This is the doorway to the training of the mind. Yoga means training of the mind. Start training the mind by training speech. Utter whatever is worthwhile, utter thought, and gently utter it. It's a beautiful teaching. This is not merely for spiritual life. Everyday's life is spiritual life. In any human communication, spirituality is involved. Do you want a happy human relation? Spirituality is involved. Don't take spirituality as something magical, mystical. It is an enrichment of man in the interhuman setting. Your behavior becomes very beautiful. You are able to attract people. You are able to establish happy relations with people. That's why the word spirituality is a wider term than the mere word religion. Religion means a creed, or a dogma, or some ritual. This is spiritual life. Your inner life is rich. Whatever you touch brings happiness there. Every word brings cheer and happiness to others. All this is the product of a spiritual change in you. You started with this first change, control of speech. I fully believe the energy of the nation, highly disciplined, will go up tenfold when we start this kind of discipline of the whole nation. A silent nation. I felt it when I went to temples, Kanyakumari temple, such a wonderful, great temple. The amount of noise I heard there. Even the market was more quiet than the temple. Fortunately, the temple adhikari officer was there. I told him, what is this? We must do something in this. What shall I do? I told him, post people here and there. For 1 year, continuous education of the people who come to the temple. As you step into the temple, be quiet, be silent. Let God speak. You listen. Don't lecture to God here. That is one lesson we have to learn. He said, I shall do. I was very happy. He said, for 1 year I told him, engage 3 or 4 people, vantage points. Soon as a man comes to the temple, village people, even town people, constantly talking on everything under the sun in front of the Divine Mother. You spoil the whole beauty, atmosphere of the great temple. That must go. So this control of speech. The first step towards the temple, mind becomes indrawn. Speech is stopped. Thinking proceeds. More creative mind. To get something from the atmosphere of the temple. To give something to that atmosphere, enriching it by your own behavior. Then we shall transform our spiritual life and our social, collective life as well. Nirasha cha niriha cha. After that comes nirasha, control of desire. Niriha, the same thing, control of organic craving. Nityam ekanta shilata, capacity to enjoy aloneness. Whenever you are alone, don't rest it. It's a great occasion for you to enrich yourself. There is a difference in English between aloneness and loneliness. Loneliness means the tyranny of being alone. Aloneness means the joy of being alone. So whenever occasions come to you to be alone, welcome it. It's beautiful. You can be alone. You can never alone. The Atman is ever with you. How many deep things you can do. Nityam ekanta shilata. The Zen Buddhism in Japan has educated the whole people in some of these virtues. Silence. Japanese are very silent. They work very hard. Even the girls work very hard. I have seen it. No talk. With a bow, they will take leave and go. There is so much of self-control. Once I spoke in Zurumi Women's College near Tokyo. 1,000 girls sitting in front of me on the floor, tucking their legs backwards. 3,000 girls are in the classroom with a loudspeaker. I was speaking. My speech is translated to Japanese, sentence by sentence. I was marking one thing. Such attention. These girls, always looking at the speaker, listening. Not looking this way, that way, as we do. When we sit and hear a lecture, a bird comes, everybody looks at the bird. Mind has gone because you have no control of the mind. The bird can take your mind away. The bird is more powerful than you. You told your mind to hear the lecture. Why do you ask the mind to go there? Because we have no control of the mind. It goes, that's all. Every day I watch it all over India. When will the day come? We are attentive. Yes, it is there. I fix the mind, it is there. If I want it, I will change. That is a great lesson. 1 hour, 20 minutes lecture and translation. I never saw shaking the body, looking this side. Perfectly disciplined body, disciplined mind. That is why there is great industrial power. It doesn't come by asking. A training of the human personality throughout the nation. In these virtues, that will transform the nation. The psychic energy available for the good of the nation will be tremendous. Today that is 1/5. Our efficiency is 1/5. It can be made fully integral in quality. We have the quality. That day I was in Cochin, the famous shipyard there, building big ships, 200,000 tons shipping. The manager came and said, my workers are very capable. They can stand before any other workers in any part of the world. But they are all full of trouble, full of distraction, full of politics, full of strife. Nothing good can be done. A little self-discipline, this nation will go to the top. That discipline starts like this. It is not police discipline, your own disciplining of yourself. When the mind becomes indisciplined, the capacity to capture great ideas gets destroyed. Shankara says in the Bhagavad Gita commentary on the 4th chapter, where Krishna said, Imam vivasvate yogam proktavan aham avyayam vivasvan manave praha manirichvakave abravit evam parampara praptam imam rajashriyo viduhu sakale neha mata yogo nashta parantapa. First 2 verses. Krishna says to Arjuna, this yoga, I taught it to Vivaswan, Manu, Ikshvaku, etc. Powerful people, dealing with millions of people's fate. They could achieve their work because of the yoga. Then, this succession from guru to disciple, this yoga has been coming down for ages. But to long ages, it became slowly diluted, and became lost. Nashta, yogo nashta parantapa. That very yoga I am teaching you, Arjuna. Shankara comments upon it. This very Shankaracharya. How was the yoga lost? Then the answer, Durbalan, Ajitendriyan Prapya, Yogo Nashta Parantapa. When the yoga fell into the hands of weaklings, physically weak, mentally weak, and no inner discipline, when this yoga fell into their hands, it went on getting diluted, until, as I often put it, it became the milk of the Indian market, 90% water, 10% milk. That is the religion which you have today. Absolutely weak, not fit for heroes. Even a pandit and a scholar understand religion as going to Rishikesh, pay 5 rupees to a panda, catch hold of a tail of a cow, thinking he will go to heaven. All his religion is there. This mind has become so weak, it can't understand these great ideas. That is to be changed by this new training and discipline. That's what you get in Vivekananda literature. This nation can be transformed from sheep into lion. Lion roars, sheep bleats all the time. The lion roar is Vedanta. Swamiji said in one lecture, let the lion of Vedanta roar. The foxes of fear and pettiness will fly to the holes. A new race of heroes will come into the country. That is the future before us. Here is this great heroic teacher, Shankaracharya, a mastermind, absolutely fearless, full of compassion. When you read his poems and writings, you will see his infinite compassion and the tremendous strength, fearlessness, wandering over this length and breadth of India, striding like a tremendous lion, bringing peace to all, strength to all, fearlessness to all. That is the story of Shankaracharya. That is the story of Vivekananda. Today, we have got such wonderful great people, and we don't become changed. Why? We are not able to undertake this little training of this mind. We are satisfied with magic, miracle, some ritual, breaking coconuts. That's all we know. Nothing else we know. But that will change when people understand these things, when physical strength will come, slowly mental strength will come. Both are needed together. Vivekananda said, how can a mosquito understand the strength of a lion? Only an elephant can understand it. We are mosquitoes trying to understand the glory of Vedanta, glory of the Gita, glory of the Upanishads, glory of Vivekananda or Shankaracharya. Impossible. When we become strong and steady, we will be slowly understanding it. And through that understanding, we shall capture a heroic spirit and start a heroic age in Indian history. Till now it is not. For the last few centuries, this is the age of heroes. Vivekananda writes therefore in that letter, your country needs heroes, be heroes. What a wonderful teaching. Here is that lesson given by truly heroic minds, heroes of thought, heroes of spirituality. They are the eternal heroes. Merely killing a few people in a war, that doesn't make for true heroism. Even Napoleon understood it. Napoleon knew that what he achieved is nothing compared to what a person like Jesus achieved. When he was in St. Helena as a prisoner of the British, 1815 to 1821, he was eating his own hard day, completely imprisoned by the British. He had time to think. At that time, he made a remark. In this world, there are two powers, and only two. The power of the sword and the power of the spirit. These are the two powers in this world. Always, the spirit has vanquished the sword, he said. Then he added, Alexander, Julius Caesar, Charlemagne, and myself. We all used the sword and founded big empires. All of them have collapsed. Jesus founded an empire on love. And even today, millions are there ready to live for him and die for him. This admission by a consummate wielder of the sword like Napoleon has great meaning to us. The strength of the spirit is the greatest strength. India has lived on the strength of the spirit, not on the strength of the sword. And Swamiji told our people towards the end of the last century, India will be raised not by the power of the sword, but by the power of the spirit, the power of love. That is how we can raise this country. That capacity we shall get by slowly studying these books, so that Shankara's commentary, Durbalan, Ajitendriyan Prapya, Yogo Nashta Parantapa. People are all small-minded, without any inner discipline. They are very ordinary. They want all magic and mystical things. One man told me in Srinagar, he just wants everything in scientific jargon. So, I am meditating, Swamiji, but I am not getting good meditation. What is the matter? I asked him. You see, my Guru told me that in meditation, you must get 35,000 cycles in meditation. I get only 25,000 cycles. I couldn't make head or tail of what he said. Whether he understood, I don't know. 35,000 cycles, 25,000 cycles. Anyway, I took some tea from him. I went away with my friend. On the way, children were throwing stones on the trees. This happened in 1945-46. A big beehive was disturbed, and the bees started running here and there. We were carelessly going gently to my friend and myself. Two bees came, gave a sting here to me and to him. We just drove it away, thinking everything is okay. But in 1 minute, swelling came, tremendous pain came, headache came. Then our friend was telling me, Swamiji, now I have 35,000 cycles now. So such minds, what will they understand of the Gita, or the Upanishads, or this gigantic Shankaracharya? That will come, strength of body, strength of mind, strength of character, and we shall get something tremendous. Heroic period of Indian history will begin. It is bound to come in this period because we produced such heroes like Vivekananda, Ramakrishna, Gandhiji, several others. It will come. Today there is a little lull, as we say, something like a little lowering of the electric, what you call tension. So everything becomes mild, you see. Nation is like that just now. And so this is how the step of controlling speech is mentioned in the next verse, verse 369. That is the practice of inwardness. Speech and organs go out. Learn to bring slightly inward, a little. We did not become like saints. Even as a householder, a citizen must have a certain self-control, a certain self-discipline. How do you start it? Here is a process of meditation, which in small ways we can all do. An inwardness, psychic energy turned inward, restrained, and then increased in quality and quantity. Every energy restrained immediately increases in quantity. Energy let go, there is no quantity at all. Swamiji said, a bullet goes out of the gun. It traces its own trajectory. Then it falls on the ground. It doesn't generate any energy. Another bullet goes out of the gun. On the way, it meets an obstacle and a big impact. tremendous energy is created. That is why this energy must be disciplined. Through this, you will get more energy and more energy. That's meaning of disciplining human energy by oneself. Then something great will happen. That technique is mentioned here from the Kathopanishad. This is entirely adaptation from the Kathopanishad. Vacham niyachatmani tam niyacha buddhau dhiyam yachya buddhi sakshini tam chapi purnatmani nirvikalpe vilapya shantim paramam bhajasva. The whole process is mentioned here. We may take 1% of it, 2% of it, 10%, doesn't matter. Every percent is adding strength to character. Vacham niyacha, control speech. Then Atmani, all that energy of the speech which you are now controlling, where shall I put it? Put it in yourself. Don't allow it to get out. Vacham niyacha Atmani, tam niyacha buddhau. That energy which is in you, put it in buddhi. It can take it. It can contain it. It can multiply it when it is inside. When the energy of speech is put into energy of mind, mind is able to multiply the energy of speech. The next time when you speak, it will be a telling speech, a word by which the world will change. That capacity is there. Jesus will say, go and sin no more. No more sin. Everything gone. Where is that power? From within. By tremendous discipline it comes. Words have power. What a difference it is. Ramakrishna spoke ordinary village words. It moves the hearts of millions today, every day. A man speaks powerful language, oratory. You go home, forget everything what he said, we do not know. Because there is no character behind that speech. There is no spiritual strength behind that speech. So speech which is empty, speech which is full of power. It is for us to develop that powerful speech. One word, the world starts moving. That world moving figures we have to become. A teacher, a village school master is appointed to a village school. If he has a little of this training, the very day he goes there, the whole ratio of forces in the village will change. He is a powerful force. Every word brings energy to the people. This we have forgotten entirely. We have devalued ourselves. That's why we have become absolutely infructuous. Wherever we go, we create problem and not solve problem. That is our condition just now. Vacham niyachatmani tam niyacha buddhau dhiyam yacha cha buddhi sakshini. Let this buddhi, in which you have already put the energy of speech, let it be merged in the energy of the sakshi, the eternal witness of the buddhi. Tam chapi purnatmani nirvikalpe. That energy of the sakshi, take it back again and put it to that infinite Atman, that changeless, immortal, divine reality. Paramam shantim bhajasva. Then you get supreme peace. That is the way to have words coming from peace, not from peacelessness. Words coming from a heart which is disturbed will disturb the world outside. Words coming from the heart of peace will bring peace to the world outside. This is what we have to do. Gandhiji struggled in his life to achieve this kind of peace, so that a word coming out must radiate peace outside. The single force for peace is Gandhiji in this modern period. A single person without an army behind him. That strength is described a few shlokas later. Now comes a beautiful verse, verse 74, 374. Vairagya bodhau purushasya pakshivat pakshau vijanihi vichakshanatvam vimukti saudhagratalaadhirohanam prabhyam vina na anyatarena siddhyati. Consider Vairagya and bodha, renunciation and spiritual knowledge, as two wings of a bird. Vairagya bodhau purushasya pakshivat pakshau vijanihi. These are the two wings. A bird cannot fly on one wing. It wants both the wings. Here you want to fly to the highest spiritual realization. Here are the two wings for it. Vairagya, bodha. There is a beautiful flower just flowering on the top of a crevice. You want to take it? That's called mukti, freedom. You need to fly towards it. There is no other way. And this flight is possible for man through these two wings, Vairagya, bodha. Vimukti saudhagra tala adirohanam. On that immense building of vimukti or mukti, there is a tala. There is a small creeper. You want to take that. If you want to take it, fly towards it with the two wings of Vairagya and bodha. Bodha means spiritual awareness. The other is spirit of dispassion. Then says, towards the end, we are coming now, this evening, you will be really in the presence of the divine experience of Brahman by the disciples. We are approaching it very close. We shall experience it today before we start from this 7-day VIVEKACHUDAMANI course. Kimapi Satatabodham, verse 408. Kimapi Satatabodham, Kevalanandarupam, Nirupamamativelam, Nityamuktam Niriham, Nirabati Gaganabham, Nishkalam Nirvikalpam, Pradikalayati Vidwan, Brahmapurnam Samadho. Guru is telling the disciple, all this is instruction. This disciple, this sadhaka, experiences this fullness of Brahman in his own heart. Then, Kimapi Satatabodham, Kevalanandarupam, of the nature of pure awareness, constant, uninterrupted, of the nature of infinite bliss, one and non-dual, Nirupamam, incomparable, Ativelam, Nityamuktam Niriham, ever free, free from all these desires. Nirabhati Gaganabham, it is like the infinite sky, without any boundary, without any limit. Nishkalam Nirvikalpam, that undifferentiated state. Kriti Kalayati Vidwan, Vidwan realizes it in his own heart. The wise man realizes this truth in his own heart. What is the truth? Brahmapurnam, that fullness of Brahman. Samadho, in that state of samadhi. That is one. Similarly, what is the nature of the mind that can experience this samadhi, this spiritual truth? Mind must be free from vasanas, innate tendencies. Our subconscious and conscious are bundles of unfulfilled desires, bundles of complexes, as our psychology will tell. These make the mind unfit for higher spiritual flight. They are like a drag on the mind. You remove that drag, just like when you want to go up in the sky, you don't take heavy baggage, light baggage. Even the construction of the various ships that go into the sky are made of light metal, so that there is no heaviness to fight against gravitation. Even the dress and the food, everything is specially designed for going up and up and up. Going in the land, you don't need any difficulty. Our trucks will carry plenty of heavy material. In the train also you carry a lot of luggage. But in aeroplane you carry less. When you want to go up, you need less baggage. So travel light is a great principle in air travel. Similarly in spiritual life, travel light. Don't carry all your baggage with you. Say no to all of them. When you live at home in a joint family, all the baggage can be there. When you start traveling, then baggage becomes less. This constant idea of life as a travel. Life is a journey to fulfillment. Don't carry too much baggage with you. Make it light. What a wise advice it is. As in travel, so in spiritual life. Those who carry heavy baggage, they will be bound down to the gravity of the earth. They will be utterly worldly. Make the mind light. Then you can fly high. That is spiritual life. That is moral life. The other is like worldly life. Heavy, physical heaviness and possession heaviness. And mind is always tied down to that. How can the mind go high? So this language, Vairagya bodhau purushasya pakshivat, pakshau vijanidi vichakshanatvam, vimukti saudhagratalaadhirohanam, natabhyam vina nanyatarena siddhati. To carry all the baggage up to Brahman, it is not possible. You have to leave them behind. Plenty. You only carry your light, pure soul. Nothing else is there. This is a natural process. When you want to go by train, you carry baggage. You want to go by air, you also reduce it. You can't carry too heavy there. This is the nature of spiritual journey. So, these vasanas must be eliminated slowly. Vasana anudayo bhogye vairagyasya tadavati. There are 3 lines in this verse, 424. What is the criterion of vairagya? Everybody must know this truth. What is the criterion of vairagya or renunciation? The answer is given. Vasana anudayo bhogye. A profound depth psychology you will get in this statement. When a desirable object of enjoyment is in front of you, it doesn't raise any kind of vikara in the mind. Vasana anudayo. no vasana rises. Just like when you fast Ekadashi, if you are really devotee, you may see beautiful food, no vasana will come in the mind. But ordinary people, when they observe Ekadashi, every time the smell of the kitchen will bring their mind down all the time. Vasana is so strong there. So vasana anudayo bhogye. When a bhogya vastu in front, there is no vasana in the mind. That is the highest level of vairagya. We may get it 1%, 5%, 10%. And when you get 100%, you are absolutely beyond all these human limitations. Similarly, what is the criterion of bodha? Spiritual awareness. Another wonderful definition given. Only in a depth psychology you can get this kind of definition. They have seen the mind, with the depth of the mind, seen what layers are there. So the second definition of bodha comes there. Aham bhavo daya bhavo. Bodhasya paramavati. The supreme consummation of bodha is this I, little ego, never rises in the mind at all. Aham bhava udaya abhava. The aham bhava never rises at all. As to Ramakrishna, there is no I at all. Whenever people talk to him, he cannot use the word I. He will use this, he will use the word this. People will come here, he will say. Not to me, he will not say. The word I will not come at all. Aham bhava udaya abhavo. Never does this aham bhava, the egotistic tendency, ever raise its head. That is the ultimate of bodha. Similarly, lena vrittir anupattihi. Madhyada upardestu sa. What is uparati? Complete cessation of these modifications of the mind. And that is lena vrittir anupatti. Whenever a vritti or a modification has been dissolved in the mind, it doesn't rise a second time. It is dissolved once for all. That vritti doesn't come at all. Vritti is the technical term for mental modification. Just like a wave on the surface of a lake, on the surface of the mind, there is a wave. That's called vritti. When I look at an object, I see the object, the mind comprehends it. Immediately, the mind becomes a wave in relation to that object. This is going on all the time. But in this case, because there is no vasana, the vritti is dissolved, it never comes back again. These are the three very rich definitions given of this particular important subject of the purity of the mind needed for spiritual development and realization. Then the mind becomes steady. Such a man is called Sthita Prajna. The Gita gives you about 19 or 20 verses. End of the second chapter. Who is a Sthita Prajna? A man of steady wisdom. Beautiful descriptions are given here. Yasya sthita bhavet prajna. 428. Yasya anando nirantaraha. Prapancho vismrataprayah. Sa jivan mukta ishyate. This is called jivan mukti. Liberation even while alive. Not when you die and go into some foreign country or higher level. Here itself, by living, even with dealing with the world, you can be free. That's a profound ideal of Vedanta. Jivan mukti. How do you become a jivan mukta? What is the state? Yasya sthita bhavet prajna. Whose prajna, wisdom is steady, not unsteady, not wavering, as in our case. Occasionally, we get luminous moments, then it goes away. Everything darkness comes in. But in this case, yasya sthita bhavet prajna. Yasya anando nirantaraha. Whose bliss is constant. Always it is steady. Prapancho vismrataprayah. This world of duality, with all its love and hate, that world has disappeared for him. He doesn't see that world. He is the pulsations of the divine everywhere. Sajivan mukta ishyate. He is a jivan mukta. And immediately next verse says, Lina dhirapi jagarti jagrad dhamma vivarjitaha bodho nirvasano yasya sajivan mukta ishyate. 4:29. Even though his mind has been dissolved in Brahman, Lina dhirapi, still he is awake. Jagarti. In dream and sleep, your mind is dissolved. You are not awake at all. This is a waking state which is transcending ordinary waking, ordinary dream, ordinary sleep. So, Lina dhirapi jagarti. Even though the buddhi has been dissolved, you are still awake. What a wonderful state it must be. Jagrad dharma varchitaha. But it has not the characteristics of Jagrad dharma. In waking state, they have so many delusions. These things do not affect him. Bodho nirvasano yasya. Whose bodha, or awareness, free from vasanas, free from complexes, free from subconscious impressions. Absolutely free bodha. Bodho nirvasano yasya. Sajivan mukta ishyate.